Mom, Dad, I'm not throwing shade, but the whole New Year's resolution thing, kind of slipping, no offense. Anyway, my best friend Jenny's dad, crushing it. He uses Blue Apron. He says he ordered one-pan assemble and bake meals and these things called meal kits. They're all super easy to make. He keeps yelling, protein and fiber, baby. Also, the food, we tried it. So good. So maybe you check it out or whatever. Blue Apron. Get $50 off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code STIR50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Bit tired. Busy.
Yeah. And disheartened by the continuing story that is the frustration of Manchester United.
Yeah. Well, another draw at the weekend, and what is it now? 13 points the gap to
the top.
Wow. Even fourth place is now looking a stretch.
Not just a stretch, but a kind of some sort of elite yogi who's practiced stretching for his whole life kind of stretch. It's no joke, is it? 9 points, but also 2 teams to overhaul out of a bunch of perennial Champions League contenders. It's not going to be a trivial process.
Right, and not only does that mean either 2 teams slipping up or United substantially increasing the points per game average over the next however many games it is to the end of the season, but it's going to mean a change in United's fortunes or output or both. Anyway, that's the negative side of things. We'll come on to that. Let's talk West Ham, because that was good.
Oh, what a game it was! I mean, West Ham were rotated, but not massively rotated.
No, it's not like they put the kids out.
No.
So, no, West Ham put a good side out, but clearly they're prioritising the league because the level of intensity of their performance was substantially different than just a few days before. But United, well, I guess they proved you right in this game, didn't they? You said a performance was coming and it would translate into goals, and you didn't see much wrong with the team, and it was all coming together, and this was a great performance. And a bag full of goals.
Yeah, and Mkhitaryan, that was the second start, wasn't it? Because he hadn't started in the league, had he, against West Ham? Oh, yeah, that was where he started. So it was the second start in succession, in fact. Martial and Mkhitaryan completely tore West Ham apart. And Ibrahimovic got a brace as well, which was good, keeping up his scoring run.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's now, after my rant about Ibrahimovic last week, his goal-scoring record looks very good. The performance is a little bit different, but...
Everton was dismal, but we'll come on to that.
Yeah, I look, so good to see Anthony Martial get some goals and look pretty good at the same point, a bit more of that verve and zip and... attacking players and things coming off, and looked a bit more confident and happy. And Mourinho said afterwards that he'd been working harder. He said it's simple, really. He's been working harder. I wonder whether that's a bit, reductionist, really, because we know that there's problems with Anthony Martial. He's a young player. He's, he won't be the first or the last to have some troubles in the second season. He's playing in a position that he does well in, but I'm not sure it's his best position long term. And he's had personal problems. His parents have moved in. Maybe he's a bit more settled and happy. He's working harder in the training field, getting game time and getting goals.
And the whole attacking unit. So you had Martial, Rooney, and Mkhitaryan behind Ibrahimovic, and all 4 of them were fluid. Their touch was really assured. Like Rooney. Proper mid-purple patch Rooney. He was excellent. He didn't get a goal and assist in that game, but his all-around performance was absolutely... I thought it was exceptional, to be honest. I thought he was excellent. 2 key passes, which is what you want. And of course, United's high pressing. He made 3 tackles in that game. United were very aggressive, and it just all worked, didn't it? And what did you make of Rooney's performance in that one?
I thought he was very good. He didn't get an assist, but Did you say he got an assist? Two
No,
key
no,
passes.
no assist. 2 key
No
passes.
assist. Okay. No, very good. The kind of, I mean, maybe he's fit now. It's only taken 4 months to get into the season. But you're right. This is Purple Patch Rooney that we see. He's looking much better and sharper and wanting the ball and making things happen, and just looks half a yard faster. We'll see how long it lasts, really.
I think the thing that it made me think was, we get accused of hating on Rooney all the time, obviously. But one of the reasons why it was so frustrating to watch Van Gaal play him week in, week out, was how valuable a break could be for Rooney. And we've sort of seen, I think, the positive effects of a break. You mentioned he looks a bit quicker. There's definitely a kind of... It's not like he's going to win a 100-yard dash against Luke Shaw or whatever, but there's definitely an explosiveness. There's more power in his kind of explosive sprints when he's had a break.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I have to say it's one of those games where he was given plenty of time and space. I mean, Obiang and Fernandes in the centre and the West Ham midfield, it's not as if they had the aggressive pressing game that United had. And it's the kind of game that suits Rooney well. But that's great. This is, if we are able to eke from Rooney good performances coming off the bench, or starting in games against less opposition, that's perfect. I think from a player of his sort of age, and he's older than his actual years, isn't he? Because of the amount of football he's had over years. That's perfect. I think that's fine. The frustration is him playing and starting against top opposition where he makes very little influence, gives the ball away in the final third, and isn't able to dictate the flow of United's play in the way that, say, Juan Mata does. And we can talk a little bit about Mata's absence against Everton and how much that mattered.
I'm going to say, were you pitching that at new listeners? Is that what you were doing, that last little bit? Was that just in case anyone's tuning in for the first time and weren't sure exactly where you stood on that subject?
Hey, you asked me what I thought of his performance.
Yes, and you said it was quite good, but he's rubbish against good teams.
Well, I mean, look, I don't think it's unfair to put some context on this.
Sure.
This is a West Ham side that played well against United 3 days beforehand. That they went from a 10 out of 10 intensity to 7 out of 10 intensity, no doubt. It's not like
absolutely.
rested a bunch of players, but if you ask the manager, the fans, all that team, and the individual players, what was more important, staying in the Premier League or a League Cup run?
I'm about to remove context from the conversation briefly to wax lyrical about Henrik Mkhitaryan's performance in that game. He was next level fantastic. Do you know what his pass completion percentage was out of the 46 passes he attempted in that game, Ed?
I don't. Tell me.
It was 96%, which is
what happened to the pass he's put wrong then?
2 out of 46 passes misplaced.
Could have done better, couldn't he?
The thing about that is, it's not like Michael Carrick or even, I don't know, even the Barcelona midfield in its pomp. That's 96 passes continually kind of taking the ball, 46 passes, continually taking the ball on the fly, at speed, laying it off, making decisions, picking out through balls. 7 key passes in that game and two well-deserved assists. An absolute star turn, and it was his...
Absolutely. And it's great. It's great to see because he's a great player. And you just want to see it work out from United. And we had a lot of fears that he would never play. But what a bonus for United to get Martial and Mkhitaryan back into the side. And hopefully playing, Everton side, hopefully playing well. Huge bonus, great options. We've talked about this a little bit before. I hope it's not at the sacrifice of Juan Mata because he really is important in knitting together United's attacking ambitions. Okay, he didn't play against West Ham, but where United need to control the game, important. There's going to be a sacrifice somewhere. I'm not sure we'll see a team in which Martial, Mkhitaryan, Mata, Pogba, and Herrera all play.
I think it's interesting. We might as well move on to the Everton game because everyone enjoyed the West Ham game. It was lovely, but it was what it was. a League Cup game. I mean, we scored early and that extra sapped West Ham, didn't it? I think I said earlier that Mkhitaryan started in the league. Of course, he didn't start in the league against West Ham. He'd started that was his second start in the midweeks. And he was man of the match in both of those games, which I thought was pretty significant. And against Everton, you see, I would argue that the player that should have been sacrificed out of that lineup for Juan Mata was Michael Carrick, and that we should have gone with the 4-2-3-1 that is basically what we've been playing all the way through. There's been the odd 4-3-3, but he played Carrick, Herrera and Pogba, and actually that we've argued for that a lot this season, but I think in that game he could have afforded to have Juan Mata in there for Carrick and have Mata behind Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan and Martial on either flank. Before we get onto the negatives, I just wanted to say I thought it was a tremendous positive that both Martial and Mkhitaryan kept their place, and a very good counter-argument to the notion that Mourinho's kind of stuck in his ways and doesn't want to gamble on the attacking players and all this kind of stuff. They performed excellently. He kept them in the side.
He did, yeah. And look, it was basically a 4-3-3 because it's not as if Pogba was playing as centrally at number 10 as the playmaker. I mean, he was towards the left of a 4-3-3, and we have argued for that a lot, and given the balance of the squad, it's a good option. There is a sacrifice, and the sacrifice is there's no one who's kind of controlling the flow and tempo of the game. I mean, Mata felt like he was missed. I don't know the answer to this one because I'm not quite sure how you get all of those attacking players into the same side and not lose either Martial or Carrick or Mata, or someone else, but mainly those three, right? And each of them is a sacrifice. You lose Mata, you lose control in the attacking third. You lose Carrick, you lose the balance that Carrick gives, and you're hoping for Herrera to give that balance in a very different way, in a sort of defensive way. Or you lose one of the attacking players and you shove Mata out onto the right.
Yeah,
all compromising.
I think that last one is the least good compromise. I think that last one's the one we want to see least, or I want to see least. And I think the thing with Carrick is, it's good to have him back involved, and he has put in some excellent performances, but he was really poor against Everton, and I don't think that's because he's bad or it was the kind of game he'd be bad in. I think it's because he's 35, hasn't played that much football, and then suddenly played a load of football all in a row. He looked a little leggy in that game. I don't hold that against him, but it's not like that came as a surprise. In fact, this game was fundamentally defined by bad things not coming as a surprise, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the major incidents in this game. So, where do we start? Marcos Rojo. Was that a red card or a double red card he should have got for that absolute horror show of a tackle?
It's a total disgrace, isn't it? And Gary Neville said on commentary, and it was widely observed, if he'd booked Gareth Barry for Barry's kind of highly questionable, definitely a booking challenge a few minutes earlier, then Rocco probably would have gone for that. But I don't know how the referee can see that incident well enough to deem it a yellow card and not say it's a red. It's truly bizarre.
No, he's guessed. Yeah. He's guessed because he can't, he's 2 feet off the ground and into the thigh.
I love the notion. That his feet are 2 feet off the ground. He went in at waist height.
Yeah, well, it wasn't far off, was it? It's an absolute shocker of a tackle, and he could have gone, should have gone, and that, of course, would have changed the tempo of the game somewhat. But, Everton were on top, creating chances. Definitely created more good chances than United in this game. They seemed to dictate the flow of the game, even though it was United who scored first and led for almost all of the second half. We talked a lot about the performance level, kind of frustrated that United had been playing well but drawing in the league and then spanking teams in midweek. This kind of broke that pattern because this wasn't a good performance. Not a terrible performance, but not a good one.
No, it was I think it was a poor performance with brilliant moments and terrible moments. That's what I think it was overall. I think the general level was, well, let's say, below average performance with brilliant moments and terrible moments. So I want to talk about Ibrahimovic, who obviously scored a wonderful Ibrahimovic-esque goal, and I don't think should be dropped from United. I don't think that's the case. But his first half an hour was a total disaster. He gave the ball away. He had the ball 16 times, gave it away 7 of those. It was just really, really sloppy. Pogba was pretty sloppy with his passing all game. He was quite effective defensively, but that's obviously not what we want from him. I thought both Martial and Mkhitaryan were good all the way through the game. They were kind of
they were both very positive when they got the ball. I mean, both yanked off by Mourinho, or substituted, I should say. Let's not get too personal here. But no, you're right. Ibrahimovic down at 60% pass completion. And this is the argument Mourinho had. Oh, well, if he's not scoring, it doesn't matter because he went, 13 games, scored 1 goal at one point because his all-round performance is good. Now he's scoring goals and plenty of goals, and he's looking like he's on for a 20-plus goal season at this rate. Yeah. And the all-round game has gone. I mean, he didn't have a good game against Everton. It's the kind of game that makes you question, or makes him look like he's 35 again.
But I mean,
wonder goal though. Not only did he, score from 40 yards out, but he hit the post and the bar, and it bounced twice on the line before it went in.
It was beautiful. As someone I think said on Twitter, that was Ibrahimovic is the only man that could score that goal and give Everton hope as well. Like, really taunt them and break their hearts. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much that was him being 35 versus just him having an off day. I think he's had off days throughout his career. Everybody does. And I think Mourinho's argument, not for every Ibrahimovic performance so far, but in general, especially in the little run leading up to this game, like the little run since he came back from the suspension, he's been creating chance after chance after chance. And this is the first game in a long time I think he hasn't created any chances. So I think let's see whether that becomes a pattern, or if it was something of not a one-off, but this is going to be an infrequent occurrence.
Sure.
And what a goal! What a goal! Mkhitaryan, it was great to see him doing well again. Really really important in United's press as well, which makes it all the more confusing, the whole situation, because he just looks a complete Mourinho-type player, doesn't he?
Look, he's a hard worker. He always has been. This is not new. He puts in the miles. He's got great pace and energy. He's beautiful with the ball at his feet, and it's the frustrating thing is he's come back into the side and he's put in a bunch of very good performances, and it just kind of makes you wonder why he wasn't given the opportunity to impress before.
I mean, he says the problem wasn't Mourinho, the problem was me. That's what Mkhitaryan said. There's a quote going around. I haven't read into it too much, and we don't know what's been going on behind the scenes, and it's got to the point where it's like, okay, well, whatever's gone before. It's been mega frustrating, but hey, look, he's here now, and let's hope we kick on as a consequence of that. And it definitely looks possible that we will. But it was just such a. Should we come on to the flipping horrible nightmare of the end part of that game?
Yeah. Well, one more thing on Ibrahimovic first. There was the clash with Chris Coleman. He's Coleman's obviously.
Oh, Seamus Coleman.
Chris Coleman being
didn't go and lamp the Wales manager.
That's it. Randomly kicked Chris Coleman, Wales manager, in the head and put him to sleep. I mean, there's merit to that. So yes, Seamus Coleman fell on him and then sort of booted him in the head. I mean, I have to say, there's some controversy about this, but I tend to believe Ibrahimovic that it was just accidental. The second boot moving towards the guy's head, and I do love the quote afterwards.
Yeah, it's great because you can easily excessively buy into the cult of Ibrahimovic, right? And I can see some people finding it cringy, whatever. But how can you not buy into the cult of Ibrahimovic when he says, "If I wanted to kick him in the head, believe me, I would have kicked him in the head
and made him go to sleep"?
Yeah, it's very Ibra, isn't it?
It is.
I don't know. It's that game turned really stupid. So United had their Mourinho talks about like how United have been getting unlucky and playing well, and really like loads of teams have been delighted to be getting a draw against them. But United's last shot on goal of any kind in that game came in the 66th minute, and that it just tells us so much about the way that the end of that game went.
And when did Fellaini come on? About 70 minutes or something like that?
It was quite a lot later than that.
But classic Mourinho, I'm going to try and shut this game down. But just a massive mistake, based on this belief that somehow A, Fellaini is good in the air, or B, he can defend. He can't do either. He's not good in the air. He cannot move. He's dense. He can't move.
As has widely been pointed out, why would you have a central defender on the bench if they weren't fit enough to play 10 minutes of football? Eric Bailly was on the bench in that game. Was he just like really, really didn't want to put Timothy Fosu-Mensah on the bench, so he had to put Eric Bailly on the bench? Why, if you're trying to shore up the game and you know, improve our aerial presence or whatever? I mean, you know, the key damning thing is there cannot have been a soul alive who was surprised when Marouane Fellaini clad into that to Idrissa Gueye, who had an excellent game generally.
Very good. What a good player he is.
Yeah, superb.
I mean, you'd throw some money Everton's way, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Although, I don't know. I want to work with the players we've got for now. I'm fed up of us buying new players and it getting all confusing. But yeah, and then Fellaini just... It was so stupid.
Oh, but it's just so Fellaini.
Yeah, exactly.
Just what a brain-dead player he is.
So I wrote an article on Bleacher Report, and I said it was a terrible substitution. And then there were people in the comments saying, it's not a terrible substitution, it's not Mourinho's fault, it's just that Fellaini's a clown.
No, it's a terrible substitution, because none of that can have been a surprise. I know Mourinho tried to justify it. He just got it wrong. He got it badly wrong, because he made assumptions about what Fellaini is and does as a player, and it's just wrong. It's myth.
You know the story of the parable of the scorpion who begs a turtle to give him a lift across the river. It stings him halfway across the river. The turtle drowns. Goes, "You're going to take both of us out? Why'd you do that?" And he said, "Look, I'm a scorpion." And this is why it was not Fellaini's fault. It was Mourinho's fault. Fellaini would just be like, "Look, I'm Marouane Fellaini. This is what I do."
Yeah, and he very successfully did it by clattering into Idrissa Gueye. And you know, there was some suggestion that Gueye went down easily, and he did, you know, but the leg's in there. Fellaini asked the referee to make a very, very easy decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the notion that that's anyone's fault other than Fellaini's, the ref's fault, Gueye's fault, it's just...
No. 100% a penalty. I imagine it was the other way around. We'd been fuming if it hadn't been given.
Yeah.
So and of course Baines doesn't miss. And Everton got what they deserved points out of that game.
Definitely.
And so they got it. But you know, the infuriating thing is if United, I was going to say, if United are going to make a challenge for the title, that's a good one. If United are going to get into the Champions League, then my God, you got to be able to close out those games. How many? It's 7 points United have lost in the last 10 minutes. Of games now. It's far too many. It's not Mourinho-esque. And, you know, I don't want to start on some kind of anti-Mourinho rant, because obviously the trajectory of United's performances this season are better. They're going in the right direction. But the results aren't coming. And we talked about it last week. This is the ultimate pragmatist. He's the man who's going to give us results. It's not happening. In the ones that really matter. United haven't beaten anyone good this season.
I mean, except City in the League Cup, but there was a lot of...
City in the League Cup, and they made like 8 changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you talked about the number of points that were thrown away in the last couple of minutes. This was really similar to the Arsenal game, I thought, where it was bringing on a more defensive-minded player that shrunk United into the game. I mean, you know, imagine you roll the dice at that point and bring Juan Mata on. You know, obviously he would never do that. But the other substitution I thought warranted quite a lot of attention as well. I mean, it's late enough in the game that you can say it's kind of much of a muchness, really. But on the 82nd minute, he brought Rashford on for Martial. It was after Everton had gone properly.
But he does that all the time, like for like.
Yeah, exactly.
The substitution I'd have made then is Rashford for Ibrahimovic.
No
because
question.
if you're not going to play on the break, you want someone to stretch the game.
No question. And also, it's Martial's better defensively than Rashford as well. Like
he is, yeah.
So it just all ends up that looked like a really a very, very kind of odd substitution.
But we've said this a few times this season. I mean, I haven't been counting, but
No.
Mourinho's the master tactician. Feels like he's made a few mistakes.
Well, Scott from Republic of Mancunia wrote an article for Maxit about the conservatism of Mourinho's substitutions in terms of bringing on defensive players. But I think there's a deeper issue about the conservatism of his substitutions in the time in the game in which he's made them, which is much later than I think of as Mourinho, the way Mourinho handles things, and the number of substitutions which have been like for like rather than more complicated or kind of tactically designed to influence the game in specific ways other than just bring the big man on in case there was a bunch of crosses at the end. It was, I don't know.
Right, yeah, it's not imaginative, not trying to change a game to influence the game in United's favour. It is just about legs and energy.
And this is...
And
sorry, what were you going to say?
No, and the thing you're saying about, the big man to save United, which was dumb.
Yeah. And I think, this is where, hopefully we do this typically as a podcast, you don't draw one conclusion from a game. The conclusion from this game is not that Mourinho is excessively conservative and is finished. It's that he has this tendency in him because the starting lineup was anything but conservative. The starting lineup was progressive and exciting. And actually... a couple of his big name players really let him down, and that game should have been out of sight early, not necessarily on the not on the chances actually created, but on the moments where a brilliant chance was just about to be created and someone fluffed their lines. Mostly Ibrahimovic, a bit Pogba as well.
And United could point to some ill luck with Herrera hitting the bar, I suppose. But it's not as if not as if that's It's not a shot on target, is it? If it hits the bar,
he didn't hit it right either. It wasn't bad luck that made that sky.
Yeah. So look, where does that leave us? Because I take your point about not drawing too many conclusions from one game, but there's a pattern here, right?
But I don't know how. I mean, there's definitely. Let's not have the same conversation we had last week. But there is definitely a pattern in results. That's undeniable. But I'm not sure that game fit into the pattern of performances.
No, it was a much worse performance. Same result.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And the other thing is, look, are United somehow miles and miles off, their justifiable place? I'm not sure. I just don't think it's the case. And I think maybe the answer is we're just not that good. And Mourinho hasn't made us, significantly better. The uptick from Van Gaal has not been significant enough that it's translating into results.
Well, I did a back of a matchbox calculation, and I think we've dropped 11 points from us playing badly and 8 points in games we absolutely should have won in the normal course of business. And 8 points right now wouldn't be enough to get us into the top 4 spots. So we lost 3 points against City at home, we were terrible. 3 points against Watford away, terrible. 3 points against Chelsea away, terrible. 2 points against Everton away, not terrible, but very average and fully deserving of not winning that game. And then there's the Arsenal game, I think, is maybe a draw was a fair result, but let's be generous and include that in the good games we should have won. And you've got Arsenal, Burnley, Stoke and West Ham. That's 2 points each time. That's 8 points. So 11 points. 11 of the points we haven't got that we'd need have been because other teams were better than us. So, that is not a particularly good argument for it's just because of bad luck that we're not much higher up the table. I mean, we'd be breathing down the necks of the top 4 if we had those 8 points, and that would be different.
But that's not ill luck. That's performance, right? And game management and turning chances created into goals, which we haven't done. It's not ill luck. Those are all the things that you do to win a game.
Yeah, but I think
you close it out, you score the chances you've got.
Sure, but I'm saying even if you say that actually there are 4 games in that run, particularly 3, where it was much on the balance of performance, much less likely that we'd end up drawing that game than winning it. even if you have those points into the mix, we're still not in the top 4 at this point, So the problem is deeper than just that bit, which, that's even a bit of a nuance, isn't it? That's even a bit like you can argue it either way. Whereas I don't think you could say much about that Everton game other than it was a subpar performance and at a really bad time. And yeah, I think there's a substantial uptick in the entertainment value of watching United and the kind of potential for a decent team to emerge out of this. But yeah, it's not there yet, is it?
It's a long way from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, this is critical because if United miss out on the Champions League, it's going to be harder to rebuild the squad or build on the squad. There's going to be a financial hit from lost sponsorships, substantial financial hit. I mean, God knows what the Glazers and Ed Woodward would do because they fired the last 2 managers that failed to get into the Champions League. Do you fire Mourinho? Where the hell do you go from there? I mean, it's desperate times and it's too early to talk about United failing, except for 13 points the gap to the Premier League leaders, 8 or 9 to the Champions League.
But I mean,
it's desperate.
I mean, I suppose we were full of optimism at the beginning of the season, and there was that Andy Mitten on our show referred to the podcast on the UWS to the poll on UWS online where 0% of people had voted that United would finish outside of the top 4 this season. So optimism was high, but I think obviously what I think is it would be completely just like shooting ourselves in the foot to sack Mourinho if he has a bad season this season. And unless there's absolutely no evidence of progress, and I think there's already been easily enough evidence of progress because you're not starting when he took over Chelsea the first time round. That Ranieri team was like a vast amount of investment had come that was building towards something. It had got deep in the Champions League, and there were a lot of good players there, and they were on the cusp of something. He came in and did the job. This is not that situation, is it?
No, it's not. And United have got a reasonable December and January. I mean, we talk about Zorya. Obviously, the home game against Tottenham is going to be a tough one. Tottenham doing okay, but it's a little bit inconsistent this season. Away at Palace, who are terrible at the moment. Away at West Brom, playing pretty well. I think you think of them as a smaller club, but they're doing all right.
Yeah.
And then the 2 games to round off the season against Sunderland and Borough, and you'd expect United to win both of those. So not horrible December. Not horrible. You'd hope United would win.
Yeah, I don't know that I would expect it. I mean, I would expect them in isolation to win both of those games, but I think they're both away from home back to back. No, it's the Borough and West Brom games that are away back to back, and the Sunderland games at home, but I don't know that I would necessarily expect us to, par in all those games taken in isolation, apart from the Spurs one, is winning each of them, isn't it? But
yeah,
it seems very unlikely that we're going to go on a run where we win all those games.
And then a lot of cup ties in January, but the real ones in the league: away at West Ham, home to Liverpool, away at Stoke. You really do want to have a good December, don't you?
You do. You kind of need it. A little word about the Cup. Of course, we got to that West Ham game in the League Cup means we've got a semi-final, and the draw could have gone a number of different directions, and it went the direction to potentially open up easily the most interesting of the possible finals that could have happened if we can get past Mike.
It's the master tactician versus José Mourinho.
Is Mickey feeling all over again? And I'm feeling good.
Old tight shorts, love him.
Yeah. What a guy. It's the draw that means that it's possible that we're going to get a United Liverpool final,
and that would be great, won't it? Cup final, day out against the old rivals, silverware on the line. What a difference it could make, and that would be sort of in mid-February or something like that. United clearly should comfortably beat Hull. Clearly, should.
I mean, Liverpool, Southampton. I think it's. It's cup competition and stuff happens. It could be a Hull Southampton final, obviously, but there's no guarantee it'll be United, Liverpool, but that does seem the likeliest outcome for now. So that's where United have been out in the last week. And I had the pleasure before either of those games, or after the West Ham game, I think, but before the weekend against Everton, I had the pleasure to talk to writer Carl Anka, writer and filmmaker. He's worked for BuzzFeed and Joe and various different places on the internet. You can follow him on Twitter at Anchorman. 616. That's ANKA. He's a fantastic follower on Twitter and a lovely chap, and I was delighted to be able to talk to Carl. All right, well, we are absolutely delighted to be joined by Carl Anka on the show this week. Carl, what's your history with Man United?
Let me think. So, I live in Essex, so therefore I have to support Man United. Dwight Yorke and Andy Cole, two of the baddest men on the planet in the 90s, and that was when I started supporting them. I remember the treble win. I remember Cantona's FA Cup win. And it just started from there. I had a small little lapse during like the Van Nistelrooy years and the David Bellingham years, mostly because I was playing way too many computer games, not for glory hunting reasons. And I've been with them ever since. And the Moyes year was a very good year because I finally learned how football works, and it's mostly pain.
I think about this a lot. I think about the fact that we've all just generally expected the team we support to win most of our lives, but that isn't how it is for most people.
No. I remember, so the 81 Crosses game against Fulham was a game where I was dating this girl, and I remember like I had the option of going home and watching Match of the Day. I remember looking at the result on my phone going, well, I'll just stay with this person. And we ended up going out together for like nearly 2 years. And I was like, oh, well, and I always tell everyone, one reason why I ended up dating that person for like a long portion of time was because I didn't want to go home and watch Match of the Day because United were terrible.
See, nobody thinks about these things, do they?
Yeah. The human stories behind the tragedy.
81 Crosses has provided us with years worth of entertainment ever since, and it's become, a globally accepted meme. But for you, it had a deep personal significance.
Yeah, it was almost a good thing.
How's it been then, the experience of watching United not be good anymore?
Weird. Okay. Like I said, I had a little gap where I didn't really watch football, which more or less coincided with the rise of Chelsea. And then I came back just before in the season where we won the League Cup. I remember came back to football watching then again. Basically, I got dropped from my football team and I went, I don't like football anymore. And I came back. So like the last time United weren't very good, I didn't watch. But even then, that not very good, we were finishing second or third. Whereas this is just really odd and I can't really figure out how to fix it in the next 3 years. Really?
You think it's that structural, that deep?
Yeah. If you notice the way I keep talking, every time I talk about United, I finish all my sentences like this. And that's not a youthful affectation. That's just I have no idea what's going on with the squad and like the general setup.
So my take has generally been that this season is kind of pretty full of promise in a lot of ways, and that actually there's been some sort of pretty significant shake-up to the squad that should bear fruit. But you're much more of the camp that, no, the underlying structural issues are still there. The banter era will continue.
Oh, the banter era will last ages. So I remember talking on a similar show last season, and my big hot take was United will never win the Premier League so long as Wayne Rooney starts. And I didn't expect the Wayne Rooney conundrum to be solved this quickly, but I still don't think United will be competing for a title for another 4 or 5 years. There's so many. The squad is a weird alchemy of things. The United aura is gone. I can't quite figure out what the squad wants to be or what the club stands for nowadays. I keep tweeting about this a lot, that more or less we're like the new AC Milan, where we've got the money, we've got the history, we've got the prestige. But I think that's just about all we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Mourinho gave his post-match interview after the League Cup game against West Ham, where he said he's really happy because this is the kind of football he wanted to bring to United. So there is, I don't know, I think there's some sort of identity being built, isn't there?
Ish. Can you work out what's going on? You know, there is a very good squad in there somewhere, but I don't see it happening much when I watch him play in the league. The Zatlan thing is nice. It's very nice to have Zatlan playing for your team and doing things. I also think it makes us a little bit too one-dimensional. I could not for the life of me figure out how that midfield's meant to work. And then at the back, I think it's very interesting that quite a few goals scored against us are scored from the same position in the pitch. I think that cutback in the Watford game was very interesting for me because I think 4 or 5 teams have figured out if you cut it back to that exact position in the penalty spot, you can more or less score against United. And that's like a weird quirk that you wouldn't expect from a team that's being managed by Jose. So who knows?
I quite like the fact that we've started scoring that goal back, like as revenge. So we scored, like Mata scored against Arsenal with that exact goal, and then Martial scored one against West Ham in the League Cup with the same move, the same special move. So it's like we've learnt it, we've absorbed the power of our opposition.
The reverse slide cutback it's a great move. It's a great move when it works, but it how can I describe it? It's like the prawn cocktail of attacking moves. It's only slightly better than like the base level. I have no idea if that makes sense.
So it's like it's not a full, I don't know, 10-move fighting game combo. It's just when you first learn to throw a fireball in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. And, you know, the fireball's really, really effective. It can like really take care of the first 2/3 attacking area, but you should be eventually hitting 16-hit combos eventually. That would be nice. Would be nice if you spent 150 million to have a little bit of a va-va-voom, so to speak.
So you're not convinced by the kind of the few really good performances in the cups and the kind of general pattern of play where we've been creating tons of chances and not finishing them off. This hasn't convinced you that the va-va-voom is back.
No, they're glimmers, but I think it's very much individual glimmers. I don't think it's. I'm going to talk about Liverpool now. Forgive me. But when you watch Liverpool and the way they play, it's very clear that Klopp is instructing his players to move in a certain way, and that these very intelligent players are being helped by a very fun system. Whereas where you watch Manchester United, it's kind of clear that it's very intelligent players just going, all right, well, I'll do this then. And then when it comes off because Zatlan's a very good player, or Pogba can hit a moon assist out of nowhere. Like the West Ham goal in the league was very interesting because Pogba had passed it along a bit, grabbed the ball, looked left, looked right. There was nothing on, and he just went, all right, fine, I'll hit it. And like, it's an amazing ball. It's a superb ball, and it's a superb finish from Ibrahimovic. But you could almost see like the disgust on Pogba's face as he hit it, just like, ugh, fine, I can't believe you keep forcing me to do stuff like this. And he just like hits it, and it's an incredible ball. But like, these glimmers are very much based on the fact that we've got 2 or 3 of the world's best players rather than we've got a manager who is good at coaxing this out of us. This sounds way like I really don't like watching Man United right now, whereas, you know, I quite like watching him play. It will come good, I'm sure of it, but I think it's very much glimmers right now rather than anything special.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fun factor has been a fascinating thing because last season, I mean, this is not a new theory, but last season, I don't think I've ever been that bored watching football. It was staggering, but I don't think I've been bored once this season.
No, I haven't been bored. I've been frustrated, but not bored. And I suppose that's so what Moyes was maddening sadness. LVG was bored, and Mourinho is frustration. I don't know what's the next phase in this like depressive stage.
I think it's acceptance, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's where we've all got.
Just acceptance of where we are in the world landscape now.
And that's I think AC Milan is an interesting parallel, and like I'm definitely a bit older than you, and the Liverpool collapse is the thing that you said about United's aura's gone. This is what was the kind of post-game analysis of Liverpool's collapse, was that something happened and it went very quickly. Anfield lost its aura very quickly. I have to say, this might just be a tendency towards rose-tinted spectacles, but I do feel a bit like Old Trafford's aura is coming back. We've only lost there once in all competitions this season, I think.
That's nice, but I think the manner of the losses in the last 3 seasons was so ordinary. I think this is when you talk about aura being lost, it's not the loss where you lose in the last minute. It's not the loss where you lose to a penalty, but it's when it's like a thoroughly ordinary defeat. When it's the Norwich defeat last season was, oh my god, when we're using Chris Smalling as an emergency striker. When you're humble to that level, it can take so long to build it back, and 6 or 7 months can't really bring that back, because it's a bit like the Tyson defeat in Japan when he lost the title for the very first time, and then once Tyson lost for the first time, you realized he was faking his tough guy persona the entire time. Or a bit like Ronda Rousey when she lost in UFC. Now when you look at Ronda Rousey, you can tell that she was essentially putting on some of her tough girl persona, that it was just like a facade, and you're a bit like the guy at the end of The Wizard of Oz. And I think, especially now, a lot of teams will play Man United, goal down, and be like, no, if we keep going, we can at least get a point. Whereas before, it was very much, oh, they've scored. Well, fine. Let's just get over and done with.
And let's try and minimise the damage.
Yeah, you don't see teams collapse in the same way they used to Manchester United, which was annoying. I mean, yesterday when West Ham equalised, I thought here we go again. West Ham going to give us some trouble. And I was almost surprised by the fact that we won 4-1, because it feels a bit weird for me that we can just be like, all right, fine, they've equalised, let's just like slam our gloves together and get this over and done with. I would like some more workmanlike victories, and I haven't seen that quite yet from United this season.
I would say, though, this is like, in defence of my the aura is slightly coming back theory, there have been 4, I think off the top of my head, four collapses against us. Now, the quality of the opposition in those collapses was not particularly impressive, but we are this is about what we do to teams that are not as good as us. And so Feyenoord and Fenerbahce both completely fell apart once we scored against them. But then maybe you could say like the aura lasts a bit longer abroad.
It could do. It really could do.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I mean, I'm sure we'll go to Everton, and that will be a very interesting thing, because Coleman is, I think, a really, really good manager. And there was a point in time when I was like, yeah, well, I wouldn't mind him as United manager. I think he's got a good mix of pragmatism and whatever. But Everton in a bit of a slump. So if we can just go, if Everton go over and we completely steamroll them, then I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's get some momentum. Let's get a couple wins together. I find it very interesting that essentially in the post-Fergie span, the United fan favourites are De Gea, who, from what I consider, is a very nice boy. Well, yes and no. Juan Mata, who we know for a fact is a very nice boy. And Ander Herrera, who looks like a nice boy, but is a little bit of a twerp. And I'm like, we've become a side of quote-unquote nice boys. Whereas I would like just one rotter.
I think Herrera's got that in him, though, hasn't he?
Oh, I love Herrera. I love how Herrera's got that thing that Oscar has, where because he looks baby-faced, no one notices that he consistently fouls all the time. Herrera is he's a B+ cheat. He's very good at fouling all the time and not picking up a yellow card, which is what I like from a midfielder. And apparently he's very good at sledging, so he's just in your ear the entire time. But you wouldn't think of it because he seems so nice, and he hangs out with Juan Mata. So
his protestations of innocence are amazing as well. It's he's fully committed. The man clearly believes. I know you're a wrestling fan, and Steve Austin always says, like, you've got to make it seem real. It's got to be real to you. And for Herrera, his protestations of innocence are real to him.
Oh yeah, and I think it was you after the first goal against Arsenal. We just tweeted all caps, all the Spanish boys can stay.
I don't think that was me, but they definitely can.
Yeah, they definitely can. I love those three. I just wish we had another twerp. I want one more twerp.
I think Ibrahimovic is like, Zlatan's definitely got that in him too. He's definitely.
Oh, he's arrogant, but he's not a twerp.
Okay, right. So what's the definition? What's the definition of a twerp? What are we looking for here?
Oh, I want someone whose entire game plan is, I'm just going to keep talking to you and keep annoying you to put you off your game. I'm going to get you to get a yellow card because you cannot handle me just like constantly yelling at you in the media and yelling at you on the pitch and like being antagonistic. But the moment you look at me, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. What are you talking about?
I'm worried about it. I'm worried you might be suggesting we get Craig Bellamy out of retirement at this point.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I reckon Bellamy could teach young Rash a few things about gamesmanship.
Let's just get
the dark arts of being a striker.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time, Carl. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we'll get you back definitely in the new year.
All right, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Brilliant, and thanks so much for Carl for joining us. Now, I should say that I mention this whenever we do guests, but the guests portion of the show is brought to you by the fact that we've got a crowdfunding source now, so I can take some time out of my week to organise and record these interviews. We're running for the first time a batch of stretch goals, which eventually will culminate hopefully in a potential live show. We've added another beautiful Cal Guild art print to the art tier, and we've also added in a t-shirt, Rantcast t-shirt tier. So head on over to patreon.com/Rantcast and have a look. One of the main attractions hopefully for people is that we record bonus content. You get an extra half an hour once a month, and then every episode you get an extra 10 to 20 minutes. If we hit one of our stretch goals, that'll be an extra 30 minutes every week. So we're hoping that comes off. And just massive thanks to everyone who's backed. And if you've been thinking about it, now's a super good time to do it, because we're trying to stretch towards these new goals.
Very good. Cool.
All right. Should we do some listener questions?
Let's do it.
All right. More so, the gentleman has no theory/science that can prove #demonetisation, failure or success. #Rantcast. Someone else is using our hashtag, Ed.
They could be, or, they could be asking me a financial question of some kind.
They could be, it's true. At JB73 says, given that his stats at Southampton were so good, don't you find it strange that Mourinho never plays Morgan Schneiderlin?
No. I mean, I don't find it a surprise because I'm not sure Schneiderlin is of the requisite quality for United. And no one would be surprised about that because that was my opinion before he joined the club.
Yeah, that's true.
So in that sense, I'm not surprised. In the sense that, he's tried lots and lots of combinations in midfield and lots of it hasn't been very successful. Some of it has. That he hasn't given Schneiderlin more of an opportunity, that's a surprise.
At AP, the middleman, says, United to finish 6th, win the League Cup, the FA Cup and the Europa League is the best we can hope for now. That's weirdly, massively pessimistic and insanely optimistic all at the same time. The chances of...
Yeah, would that be a good season?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely that would be a good season, because the fact that we came 6th in the league would be offset. It wouldn't really matter too much. We won the Europa League, still in the Champions League next season, and we'd have won 3 competitions, including European silverware.
Okay, so take that and add Liverpool winning the league.
Oh, no. Oh, I don't like it. Make it stop.
It's also made you develop a West Country accent.
It's not good.
The thought of it.
I mean, they took a step away from the direction of winning the league at the weekend just gone, didn't they? Did you manage to catch much of Liverpool-Bournemouth? I know you had a very busy weekend.
I had a very busy weekend. I did catch the highlights. And it was quite amusing.
So I went out of my house. Liverpool had been 2-0 up. I went out of my house just as Bournemouth scored that penalty. And I just glanced at Twitter about half an hour later and saw lots of people laughing. And I assumed what had happened is that Bournemouth had equalised and Liverpool had thrown away a 2-0 lead. But it was much, much more beautiful and hilarious than that.
I mean, it's classic Klopp, though, isn't it?
Is it?
It's heavy metal. Well, no, giving up the lead, no. But the kind of heavy metal, I'm going to score more than you kind of thing is Klopp. They're a highly inconsistent side, aren't they?
They are. I suspect they're probably generally having fun, so we probably won't talk too much about that for now. We'll make fun of them at the end of the season, maybe. I just want to mention... I don't know, I'm slightly reticent to mention this because it feels a bit like blowing our own trumpet, but I just felt it was important that somebody says something about this. Ron Atkinson has been doing the rounds on United podcasts, and he's always on MUTV. He's got a book out at the moment. Lots of people have been doing publicity work with him. We were invited to cover Ron Atkinson's book and absolutely have no interest in doing that. The man hasn't even begun to apologise enough, and when asked about it, he always says, I'm not talking about this anymore, I've apologised. I'm not apologising anymore, I've apologised enough, which essentially proves he hasn't apologised enough, because the lack of contrition when he talks about it is deeply unpleasant, and he shouldn't really be on MUTV, let alone being given a load of free publicity for his book and stuff. So
I agree, and I'm very much willing to believe that there's rehabilitation in the worst of humanity's traits. Big Ron's comments about Marcel Desailly are right up there with the worst of humanity's traits, and I'm afraid he's always given a non-apology apology, which is basically, look at all the black players I had.
No,
not good
absolutely
enough.
Not. So that's just wanted to mention that because I feel like someone has to say occasionally, hey, by the way, everyone's just treating him like this lovable old granddad, but it's not like that. All right, dramatic left turn now. At Jazzifer says, can you sing a little carol? Listen, of course, you know the answer is yes, 1,000,000 times yes. Silent night, holy Dwight, played with Cole, scored some goals. I can't remember the next line. I'll have to do.
Very good. I thought you were going to, give it the old Welsh choir, good King Wenceslas style.
Good King Wenceslas looked out upon the feast of Stephen, and the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even.
It'd be pretty good with a breakbeat over that.
It would. Anyone wants to remix that, feel free. At 987 Sean and at _Taylor Ben responded within seconds of me asking for Rankcast questions, both saying very similar things. Is Duncan Castles our greatest ever signing? Asks Taylor. And does Jose have Duncan Castles' Twitter password? Would make a lot of sense.
Well, I hadn't thought about that theory, but it may well be true. I mean, it's a remarkable signing. It's not going to help us much on the pitch, but it's a good one for the PR department.
I just had a little look on his Twitter, and the second tweet down is just a link to the Gestafute comment on the Mourinho tax stuff. Not like an article about it, just a link to the Gestafute site. Is he actually on their books? Is that an official relationship or what? I don't know.
It's amazing.
At C Armband says, can you explain your shocking decision to choose 30-something ahead of 101 Damnations in your top 50 album list? I just did it for fun, quickly. This top 50 album thing that's been going around Twitter, and I had 30-something on there. I like it more. Well, that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe this could be bonus content some week. I think there's clearly, more nuance to 101 Damnations, isn't there? But you cannot turn 30-something on without hearing Sheriff Fatman and go, yes. Takes you right back to the time, doesn't it? And there's about 75% of our listeners who have no idea whatsoever what we're talking about. But
you think,
guys, go free advice. Go listen. It's great.
You think that 25% of our listeners have heard Sheriff Fatman by Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine? Because I think that's a high number. Please can you talk in detail, says at mango_carrot, about your thoughts and feelings regarding Everton versus Manchester United and upcoming games?
No.
Amazing. All right, this is one for you because I don't eat eggs, but at Lethal Mocktail says, do you keep your eggs in the fridge or do you have one of those countertop egg holder things?
No, in the fridge. There's no reason for it. They're hermetically sealed. But I'm not taking a chance.
Is Jurassic Farts says, is there a real possibility that this season is some sort of A-level art project that someone's going to get a C- for? It could explain quite a lot.
Would C- be generous at this stage? 13 points behind the leaders?
Yeah, but he just means like C- for the art project. I think it's you could argue that it's a kind of investigation into the notion of impatience and themes of contemporary and like the excesses of consumer capitalism and how spending doesn't bring you happiness, you know.
Yeah, Mourinho meets Noam Chomsky.
At PA_man_you_fan says, are Pogba and Zlatan untouchable? I get they'll have bad games, but sub them when their performance isn't up to par. I think that's an interesting point. I think especially with Ibrahimovic, he does... I can understand why it must be very difficult for a manager who needs a goal to take Ibrahimovic off even when he's having a bad day, because he can do some absolutely ridiculous things.
Of course he can. Is this saying something about Mourinho being a little less decisive than he used to be? You know, or... And it's there's a dichotomy here, clearly, because in some cases he's decided very, very quickly that a player is not for him. Mkhitaryan, possibly Luke Shaw, definitely Schweinsteiger, who, you know, and he's made a bat turn on Mkhitaryan, so give him some credit for that, but also, why did it take so long? Schweinsteiger, he's doing the same thing. Now he's talking about him staying. So, you know, made very, very quick decisions there. But in some cases, it took him a long time. You know, and I agree with you, by the way, your comment earlier about not dropping Ibrahimovic, at least not yet. I just think, you know, as I said, there's some trade-offs. But at the weekend, he definitely should have come off.
Absolutely. Definitely. At Sutcliffe says, John Pilger says, war is brewing with China. Are we morally obliged to lobby the government so Rooney gets the swan song he deserves?
Oh, my God. That's pretty harsh, but, you know, it's a thought.
Just want to make it clear, that question is... There's going to come a point in the not that distant future where that question is absolutely not funny anymore. But yeah, yes, very, very good. Very well done. Satire doesn't work. That's the Rantcast running theme, isn't it? You have to tune into the backers content. By the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but if you do sign up as a Patreon backer, you get access to all the bonus content we've done already this season, which is properly hours of content now, and it's not generally topical stuff. So you know, you can go back and have a listen to that if you sign up. I'm going to stop advertising stuff soon, but there we go. And last one, at BillyBob1310 says, I have a feeling we'll go on a run post-Christmas and score many, many goals along the way. Am I stupid? I don't think so. I think that's entirely possible.
It's certainly possible. There would have to be a change in a number of dynamics in this United side. But look, it's not a massive change, as we talked about last week.
Yeah. I guess it's time to talk about the football games that are coming up. Should we briefly touch on away at Zorya Luhansk, 6 p.m. UK time, that classic Thursday evening slot?
Ah, joy. Go for it, Paul. Tell us all about Zorya. Where's this game actually being played? It's not in the Eastern Ukrainian region where there is still, you know, the brewings of war.
I think it's happening in Odessa because someone asked me a question about where United fans would be drinking in Odessa. And I just want to make it very clear, I have no idea. You would not catch me dead going to a near war zone to watch Man United play.
Well, you know, I mean, for those of you who like getting points on the Euro aways, this is a good 9.5 to 10 pointer, I'd say. Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be a I think, they've had some decent results at home in this Europa League group. We only need a draw, which is great. But I can see us. I mean, we haven't won a game away from home in Europe since Club Brugge. And since then, we've had quite a lot of games away from home in Europe. Not only have we not won a game, I'm pretty sure we've lost. We drew with CSK Moscow, didn't we? Martial scored. It was 1-1. But apart from that, I think we've lost every one of those games. So I do not think it's a foregone conclusion that we win this game.
They're pretty bobbins, aren't they? This is not a good team.
Well, they are, but it's not a good team. But they haven't lost at home yet, have they? In this Europa League,
they haven't won for quite a long time either, though.
Have they not?
I mean, no, they lost at the weekend. They drew the weekend before that. Lost to Fenerbahce. Lost the weekend before that at home. Drew away. In fact, when's the last time? They haven't won since October.
Right. Have we? Oh yeah, we have. Yeah.
So they're not a good teim.
No,
and they're not in great form.
No,
I'm going for a 1-0 win to Zorya.
I mean, I suppose that it's become important because of how bad our league form is. But even if we get through the group, obviously there's absolutely no guarantee that we will win or even get that deep in this tournament. But we're close enough now to qualification that it would seem a bit of a shame if we didn't have European football after January, as Jurgen Klopp made fun of us for.
Yeah, I want to stuff Zorya just to go in your face, Klopp.
Yeah. And then a massive, mega massive game at Old Trafford. I mean, if ever we need a lads, it's Tottenham moment. But the thing is, I'm not sure Pochettino's Tottenham can be lads, it's Tottenham'd.
No. I mean, lads, they're actually a pretty good team. They've had an inconsistent start. Do we call it a start still? Inconsistent first third of the season, haven't they? I suspect that they would have liked to have built on what they achieved last season. Still managed to Tottenham it up in the last few weeks of the season, didn't they? And Arsenal, how they managed to beat them in the league, I don't know, because Tottenham were good all season, Arsenal were not. There's obviously been a little bit of a hangover. They haven't. They expanded the squad in the summer, but perhaps not with the real quality of signing that Pochettino might have wanted. So they're doing it all right. They're quite 6-7 points ahead of United at the moment, great win at West Ham the other week. They are getting some decent results, but it's not consistent. It's
not. There's a very good team in there, though, isn't there? I mean, since the Modric, other than the Modric, Bale, Van der Vaart team, I can't think of a Spurs team this good in the Premier League era, probably. No.
I mean, there was the I don't know whether that was Modric, Van der Vaart, Bale. A few years before that, they finished fourth a couple of times, didn't they? And then sacked the manager. Talk about having expectations slightly warped out of reality, but but they've got to do it now, and I think it's a very good point in this because they're spending a lot of money redeveloping White Hart Lane. It is going to eat into their budget. I mean, obviously, the amount of revenue pulled in by the Premier League now means that it's less impactful than it was, say, for Arsenal. But they're spending 600 million on a new stadium, so right now is the time. Because it's not like there's a sugar daddy that owns Tottenham that's going to pump tons of money in. This is debt, and they're going to have to pay it back.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's imperative for them. I don't know. It's hard. It feels very hard when you talk about predictions. So first of all, a lot of this is going to depend on what happens on Thursday, isn't it? Because injuries and all that sort of stuff. But just team selection, I think. Given how important that Spurs game is, given there's another game next midweek, I'm pretty sure. Is it next midweek? Yeah, next midweek we play Crystal Palace away in the middle of the week. So there's no rest here, no respite from league football for a good while. This is the start of Christmas, basically. What's he going to do? How's he going to handle team selection in these two games?
He's going to have to make some changes for Zorya. Yeah. Clearly.
So Rooney will come back, I guess.
He's going to have to prioritise the Spurs game. And it's brutal because it's a long flight. It's a 5-hour flight. And it's not just, you say, they're going first class and whatever, and they will, and it's not the flight that's the uncomfortable bit. It's the time change, the basically the day spent travelling, and particularly coming back, because even if they leave directly after the game, you gain a few hours coming back from, coming west. Even with that, they're not going to be getting to bed until the middle of the morning. That ruins training the next day, and then they have one day.
Tough. So it's really going to be demanding, and I think that's another reason why being wildly optimistic about that Spurs game from the current perspective is very difficult to do. So I wonder whether we won't see Lingard and Rashford against Zorya and Martial and Mkhitaryan again against Spurs, or some hybrid of that in those two games. Elsewhere, Schneiderlin, maybe even Schweinsteiger, half an hour at the end of the Zorya game or something like that. I don't even know if he's actually registered for the Europa League. He's not.
No, I don't think he is, no.
Fellaini, people have been saying he'll never play again. He might start in the immediate next game.
Right. Why would Mourinho suddenly ostracise him? He's spent the last few days defending him and his decision. So, no, I think there's a good chance Fellaini starts in Ukraine, and there's a good chance there's quite a few changes, 6, 7 or more. And fine. I think that's totally fine, given where the priorities lie and just how difficult this is going to be, just from a scheduling point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. So predictions.
8-0 in Zorya? No. It's hard to... they are rubbish. And it's hard to see United winning away. Yeah. But surely it's got to happen at some point. So let's say a 1-0 win to United away in Zorya.
Okay.
And 2-2 against Spurs.
Wow. I'm going for a 1-1 draw away in Zorya, and I'm going heart overhead. 2-1 win against Spurs. Scrappier than we have been, the other thing that I don't think is impossible is that we really turn on the style against Spurs. I think if it wasn't for the Zorya game, though, I'd be more optimistic of that happening. So a scrappy 2-1 win after a kind of disappointing 1-1 draw. That's what I think is coming. Whatever happens, we'll be back to talk about it on a show next week. Please do head on over and check out the new stuff on the Patreon page. I'm just going to mention that over the next couple of shows, and then go back to just, briefly mentioning it once or twice. It's not like we're going to bang on about it for ages every week or anything. And if you are already backing us on Patreon, stay tuned, because there's more coming right now. Everyone else, we'll see you next week.
We certainly will. And remember, a dog is for Christmas. Backing us on Patreon is for life.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.